The Broward County Sheriff's Office said they are officially investigating allegations that multiple deputies failed to enter Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida as the suspected shooter was in the process of being 17 students. Sheriff Scott Israel told the local area newspaper on Friday that his office is investigating the allegations and if they find that their deputies made mistakes and didn't go in, he will handle it. But the real question here is, can we actually trust the sheriff to investigate his own staff? Via Conservative Tribune. A picture is worth 1,000 words, and it might be worth 1,000 explanations, too. Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel has found himself in the national spotlight after the tragic school shooting that occurred in his corner of Florida, and the chief law enforcement officer has been looking a bit like a politician while appearing on television to push liberal talking points about gun control. Too much like a politician, a skeptic might say. After some pundits noticed that a sheriff who should be primarily concerned with enforcing the law has been sounding like he's reading from the Democrat Party phrase book, several photos emerged that may shed some light on Israel's political leanings. A photo posted on the sheriff's official Facebook page from 2015 shows Israel warmly interacting with then-candidate Hillary Clinton, a strong liberal and gun control proponent. "So nice to see you again, Sheriff," says a quote on the photo attributed to Clinton, implying that Israel and the Democrat candidate were already friends. "Never let a serious crisis go to waste," as fellow leftist Rahm Emanuel once said. Sheriff Israel and the rest of the Second Amendment opponents are taking that to heart, and as a result, the rights of the American people are now at stake. Sheriff Scott Israel Dana Loesch on her radio show on Friday gave frightening details about what went on during the shooting. It wasn't one deputy who refused to go in while this murderer was on his ink spree, it was 4. And what makes this even more unbelievable is the fact that the neighboring county police department is now saying they were the ones who went in first because the Broward County Sheriff's Department deputies only stood there listening to the shooting and screams for over 4 minutes but for some reason decided to not go in, which let the carnage continue and the shooter get away. And then we find out that Sheriff Israel was one of the people who instigated the CNN fake news town hall narrative in which Dana Loesch needed armed security to get out of alive. People in attendance confirmed that, before the official town hall started, the sheriff riled up the crowd against guns by speaking half-truths and outright lies. This was the part of the town hall which CNN didn't broadcast. Convenient, don't you agree? It's obvious Scott Israel has his own agenda. And it's not about banning guns, it's about deflecting from the cowardliness his own deputies, his department and himself showed as children screamed and cried as they were being ed in cold blood while these people who are sworn to protect us just hung out outside the building and did nothing about it. Be a reason. Broward County Sheriff Scott Israel, the man whose agency failed to prevent the Parkland massacre despite having received a tip last November that Nicolas Cruz was plotting a mass shooting, has been accused of public corruption. 2 years ago, the Sun-Sentinel reported that Israel was rewarding top political supporters by giving them and their family members cushy jobs doing public relations and community outreach for the Broward County Sheriff's Office. One such position, outreach manager, paid out a salary of $78,489. The person who got that job was the husband of Israel's campaign manager. Israel had been a Republican, but ran for office as a Democrat. He was first elected sheriff in 2012, then re-elected in 2016. According to the Sun-Sentinel, the outreach workers, who mainly attend community events, are in addition to political activists and others Israel hired into community affairs roles, writing and designing printed pieces about the agency, and sharing it on social media. The employee log shows 6 hired into community affairs roles, their salaries totaling $388,729. Israel's opponents say he's built a publicly funded political machine, paying back supporters with jobs and using them to keep him in office. They say the money could be better spent, particularly after the sheriff complained about not having enough funding to secure the county courthouse, where a murder suspect recently escaped. Asked about the allegations, Israel responded, "What have I done differently than Don Shula or Abraham Lincoln or Martin Luther King, Gandhi?" He also said, "Lions don't care about the opinions of sheep." That's a paraphrase of a quote from the Game of Thrones character Tywin Lannister, a villainous public administrator known for promoting his family's interests ahead of the government's or the people's. Were the employees hired to work at the sheriff's office competent? It certainly seems like a relevant question now that we know the authorities were forewarned about the dangers posed by Cruz. The office received at least 18 calls about Cruz's disturbing behavior and possession of weapons from 2008 to 2017. BuzzFeed has obtained records related to those calls. The most recent one, made on November 30, 2017, described Cruz as a school shooter in the making. Broward County referred the matter to the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office but took no further action, even though a relative of Cruz had warned Broward County about Cruz's stash of weapons just 3 days before. This news follows the resignation of Marjory Stoneman Douglas School Resource Officer Scott Peterson, who refused to engage the while the rampage was underway. Israel suspended Peterson after watching video footage of the SRO's behavior, saying that it made him sick to my stomach. Given the appalling failures that took place at Israel's office, the sheep might like to ask the lion some questions. Perhaps he could answer them in a less condescending and authoritarian fashion. Follow us on Facebook. From the web powered by Zergnet. Awkward Olympics wardrobe malfunctions. You can't unsee the real reason you don't hear about Leanne Rimes anymore. This figure skating move was too provocative for the Olympics. The truth about Chip Gaines. Here's what you didn't know about Megyn Kelly. Here's who Jackie Kennedy thought had her husband killed.